Let me just help you out for a minute. When you are going to a country that you've never been before, someone invited you to visit, or you're simply thinking about that's where you want to live, and people are start telling you, don't bring this, do this, and you're thinking, that doesn't even make any kind of sense. Because you're probably processing it through your American mind. You're processing it through your Western experience, and they're telling you what the real deal is on ground. So listen up. You want to follow what they're saying. Here's some of the things that I'm going to tell you, not only that I make blunders with, but even some of the people who came to visit me. One, I told someone who come to visit me, hey, by the way, I was living in Ethiopia at the time. This is a cash society. Next time I talk to them, by the way, I just want to remind you, this is a cash society. And they said, I don't know why you're telling me that. Why am I saying that? You know, because as Americans, most of the time, we don't have cash. Most of us walk around with debit cards and credit cards to handle most of our transactions. And in Ethiopia, especially at that time, taking a debit card and a credit card was just a waste of time. Taking it into any kind of establishment except for a major hotel. But did they listen? What y'all think? And so they walked into the coffee shop, handed over their debit card, and of course the person said, no, we don't take that. Walked into a restaurant, handed over their card, no, we don't take that. So you got to understand that sometimes things that sound so simple, so common in our current environment is totally obsolete, absent, or non-existent, or either conducted in a different way. So if someone is saying to you, hey, it's a cash society, that is exactly what it means. So I have lived in several cash societies, and that is you are doing almost every state of business in cash. You're paying for your dress in cash when you're going to get shopping in a store. You're paying for your hair in cash. You're paying for your groceries in cash. You are paying for everything in cash because that society at that particular time doesn't have any POS machines for you to swipe your card. So listen when people are giving you advice. My other big mistake was my own. On my very first trip to Nigeria, I mean, this was almost like 1,000 years ago, but it was about 35 years ago. I arrived. Did I say 35 years ago? I know y'all thought I was 35. Okay, got off track. But I arrived in Nigeria, and I wanted to use the phone. And I asked the girl in the airport, where are the phones? And she said, there are none. And I'm like, of course they aren't. And she's like, looking at me like, I just told you there's no phones. But of course, I'm persistent, and I'm going to convince her why she should just tell me the deal of where the phones are hiding. And there were no phones. There were no phones because at that time, there were no cell phones, and landlines were very obsolete. And so there were no phones. And that didn't make sense to me. How could I be in an airport, a whole international airport, and there not be a phone? But there wasn't. There was no public usage of phones, and even in her place of work, there was no phone that I could use. So I'm just going to tell you, those are the two things that I could just think of right off the top of my back. You tell me, what have been your experiences if you've been traveling that shocked you because you thought an ordinary thing that you deal with every day was going to be present in that country, and it wasn't. So when someone tells you, don't bring it, it's not going to be here, you can't use it, believe them. It probably is so. I'm Saber, your bougie girlfriend, and you keep living yourself an elevated life.